Welcome to another episode of Open Mic. I'm Mike Morse. Today I have Zach Sweers on my show. He is from Anxiety Wars on YouTube. He has over 650,000 subscribers. He's got over 70 videos out. Most of them are very entertaining. He's out there catching predators, and he's got 7 convictions under his belt. And I asked him lots of good questions about why he's doing this, and is he going to stop doing this, because police and law enforcement here in Michigan, the Attorney General, want him to stop. And I asked him if he's going to stop. So stay tuned to a really fascinating episode.
Joining us this morning is Mike Morse, Detroit's top attorney. Mike Morse is in here to tell us about the backpack giveaway.
Adapt and change things up a little bit every year. Welcome, Zach Sweers. Am I saying the name right?
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for coming in today. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, you came all the way down from Grand Rapids.
Yeah, Grand Rapids. A little snowier there. And then as I was driving east, I saw that there was less snow on the roads
really?
and in the grass. So, yeah, that's how it is.
Born and raised in Grand Rapids?
That's correct, yep.
So, and you went to high school there, and college, you went to...
Grand Rapids Community College.
I've seen you wear the sweatshirts in your videos.
Have to represent.
I'm a big fan of Anxiety Wars.
Okay, thank you.
And what year did that start?
It started in 2013 under a different name. The name back then was called Sly Stinger, but I knew that a defense attorney would try to look at that name and pick it apart. So I thought, gotta have something new, because... any excuse nowadays. You're in the business, so I know
right?
Some
of those types.
Oh, yeah.
I've heard in an interview, you when somebody said, why Anxiety Wars, you said, well, use your own imagination, but I'm going to push you to tell me a little bit more why Anxiety Wars.
So it has a really boring background to it. I used to buy and sell domain names, and I had hundreds of them, and I thought, hey, for a new name, I was wondering which domain would be good for branding, because I already owned the .com of it. And one of them was Anxiety War, and I had like managinganxiety.org and stuff, but Anxiety War I thought was catchy, and it was very ambiguous in its meaning and just you could think about it and just look all around within that name and make it anything you want it to be. So but it kind of fits with the predator stuff.
It does fit. I mean, but listen, most kids these days have anxiety. Did you grow up having anxiety issues?
A little bit. I think it's more of the predators, though, in the video. The first time I confronted a predator, that was the essence of it. It was like, holy crap, really anxious. But now it's like because you feel so empowered and you know that they're kind of freaking out, you know that you're in total control, so you shouldn't feel like that. And so I don't have an issue with that anymore.
So hence the name.
It helped me. It helped me a lot.
Hence the T-shirt, and I think you're selling those T-shirts. How much is a T-shirt?
That's right, $19.99.
And you'll send it to them?
Anxietywar.com.
Is shipping and handling included or no?
Shipping and handling is separate, but it's cheap. Like anywhere in the U.S., like $3, $4, or $5. So.
That's awesome. All right, I'll be ordering one of those soon.
I'll give you one.
Thank you.
Yeah,
so
I should have brought them. Huh?
So you're 27.
Yep. 27.
And tell me about your social life. You've shown a girlfriend. Is that still your girlfriend?
Yep, I have a girlfriend, but I don't really have I don't go out. Like I don't go out hardly at all. Like I don't even drink, and I'm not like the party type, never really was. Like when I went to college, community college, there wasn't really like student life, like going out partying and stuff. I just like doing my thing, just building websites and doing programming work, and just even in high school, and I was very focused on work and I guess things that are different, but it's fun to me.
Do you have a day job other than catching predators? Do you have a day job right now?
Yes, I program in regex, but the predator stuff is taking up a lot of my time, and it's just with programming, it's like you can have anyone do it, and I like what I do, and it's fun, and it's good to get out of the element of just being all like by yourself, and that's with YouTube. It's interesting. It's a different mix.
So you're going into an office doing that?
Yeah.
You have a 9-to-5 job?
Yeah, but the predator stuff it's overtaken. Yeah.
But are you making any money doing the predator stuff?
Just from merch, yeah.
Just from merch.
But
is YouTube sending you any money?
YouTube is sending me money from non-predator related videos. So I do just like random videos like
dumpster diving,
giving people what I find in dumpsters for Christmas.
Yeah, I saw
stuff like that.
You got some strange stuff out there.
Yeah,
we'll get into
different.
that.
Okay,
but those are the ones that pay. If you use the word predator, it doesn't pay.
Yeah. With YouTube, they don't want ads on that, and so it's their rules. So, and I just like making just random fun videos too. that are still about helping people with their anxiety, because I think that attracts a lot of people to the channel is the name. They're like, what is this? You know?
Right.
And so, yeah, just fun stuff and just doing things outside the box and kind of unconventional, you know?
Well, I think people like that about you.
Yeah, I like it.
You're a quirky dude.
Oh,
in a good way.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I you know, we'll get into some of those videos. I want to dig in a little bit about your childhood, because there's not very many people taking the risks you're taking, chasing down these people that you're chasing down. So, you know, how many siblings did you grow up with?
Just one older sibling. Yep, 2 years older.
And both your parents, you grew up with both your parents?
Yep, they're together.
They're still alive?
Oh, yeah, they are.
In the Grand Rapids area?
Yep.
And so did you have basically a normal childhood, as far as normal, whatever the word normal means?
Yep, a normal childhood. A lot of people, or not a lot of people, but some people assume that I was abused or whatever, but that was never the case. It started out of curiosity, because when I was a kid, I loved watching To Catch a Predator. I first got the internet when I was 12 at home, and I saw this. That was around when To Catch a Predator started, and I was
with
watching
Chris Hansen.
With Chris Hansen,
I met him.
Familiar face, yeah. And I thought, like, dang, like as a kid, that was so entertaining. And then like later, I thought, hey, I wonder if there are any predators in my city. And
didn't you have a poster of Chris in your bedroom? Was that because you had that a video?
Wow, dang, you're going back.
I'm going back, man. I do my research for these things.
That wasn't in my bedroom. That was actually at my college's little like study rooms. That I put that up there just for a video, but I forgot all about that. But you're right.
I saw that last night. I thought that was cute.
Yeah.
So you were young then.
Yeah. Well, that was when I was like 20 in 2013.
So you grew up watching To Catch a Predator.
Yeah.
And you got curious.
Oh yeah.
And what was your first step into this arena? Like, what was your first move?
My first move was when I was in high school, and I was just going on an online chat room and pretending to be like a 13-year-old girl. I was probably like a 15-year-old boy at the time, and I was just thinking like, I wonder if these guys would do what I saw in To Catch a Predator. And they did, but they lived in other places other than my city. And then it wasn't until college where I thought like, hey, I'm gonna check out these local guys and see what they're up to and where to find them. And yeah, so that when I talked to predators in high school, it was never me like confronting them, but I did things like I ripped their IPs and then I gave it back to them and freak them out a little bit, but not really confronting them until like college, when I knew that these people were in my backyard. So
interesting. So because you're a coder, you've always had some extra computer knowledge that guys like me don't have.
Yeah.
So you were able to track these guys down better and knew who they were because of their IP. Tell me how that.
It's good to have a little bit of a background in that, and just to make sure. And it can be anything, like just looking at public directories. I'm sure you're very familiar with this in your line of work, to find out where someone lives. But with IPs, of course, that's nothing to us without a subpoena. We can't do that, right? But it was just me knowing just numbers that could translate into where they live, and I found that helpful and really getting the veracity of like where they are from, and just making sure it all checks out. So through those, can you tell the geographic area that they're in? You can a little bit, yeah, unless if they're using like a proxy or VPN. But. So how do you, are there chat rooms that are dedicated to Michigan or Grand Rapids where you live? Yeah, sometimes. I'm on many different apps and websites, and geographically, yeah, you can just search for like wherever your city is, and then chat room, and you can just find people intermingling, and that's usually how it goes down. So you started off as a curiosity to see how many predators there are in your area. Yep. And then you started having some luck with some chatting with them. Yeah, as far as them, yeah. As far as them, chatting back. Oh, yeah, sexually. Yeah. And then what happened in your brain that made you think, maybe it's a good idea that I go confront them? It was just curiosity. Honestly, it really was, to see how they'll react. Because To Catch a Predator, it's in a weird way, was so entertaining to me to see how they react, because you just don't see that every day, and it's just so weird to see that, because their minds are totally blown, and I wondered if I were to have that same reaction, just for that gotcha moment, because it feels kind of good, To think that they're waiting for who they think to be an underage girl, and then instead you see some guy with a video camera. It's almost a sense of shame. It's like, look at you, look what you're doing. I want them to really look at themselves in a different way, and for other people too, especially, to look at this and understand that this is really dangerous and this is very real. And that's why I felt the need to record it and also to give to police.
So, but Chris Hansen was doing these investigations lockstep with law enforcement.
Yeah.
So have you ever thought about, or have you ever tried to get law enforcement to come along with you on these busts?
So at first I would just send stuff to the FBI.
After?
No, during.
Oh, okay.
Ever since the first confrontation in 2013, I would send stuff to the FBI and I would say, look, here's their license plate number, here's the video, here's everything, here's the chat log. But the FBI would never reply. So then, I fed up, I went to the Grand Rapids Police, and the Grand Rapids Police started arresting the guys seen on my videos. And then it's a super long story. The Grand Rapids Police pretty much said, hey, this is really dangerous. The prosecutor said, this is really dangerous. We don't want to encourage you to do it anymore because we fear for your safety. Therefore, the Kent County prosecutor in Grand Rapids, Michigan said, no more. We're not taking any more charges. But I had told the police that I don't even need to confront them. I just confront them because it's the only way I can get their face. Ideally, you need criminal charges. You need them to go through the traditional route of prosecution. Not some dude with a video camera. But the Grand Rapids Police never entertained the idea. I said, look, and I gave them direct access to all of my accounts, my login credentials, everything. And I told them, look, I don't want to confront them. Here is all of this stuff, and you guys arrest them. You look at everything, but they never entertained that idea.
So you were happy with not being on camera.
Oh yeah.
You would have been okay being the background guy.
Yeah.
Turning it over on a silver platter to the police, and the police said no, thank you.
Correct. I'd be totally okay with talking to the predators, doing all of the work up until leading to confronting them, because that it really is dangerous, And but they never entertained that because I could totally eliminate their fear of confrontation. What could happen if? What is
your why do you think that they were like that?
I think they thought the evidence I collected wouldn't be good enough to stick up in court. When it was, and ultimately it proved itself.
It worked 7 times.
7 out of 7. 7 were charged and 7 were convicted using my evidence.
It's strange. I was reading the articles. I saw the statement from the Attorney General. I saw the statements from the Kent County. I saw their videos, and the two arguments were that the evidence, you may taint it, and there's lots of legal ways you can do that. You need to prove that it actually came from them. It has to be authenticated. There's lots of legal things that I won't bore you or people listening with, but that was one of their arguments. The other argument was that you could get hurt, killed, and they're telling you, don't do it. We don't want your help.
And I offered the remedy for both of those problems, and they never were responsive to it. And it's unfortunate too that when Dana Nessel, the Attorney General of Michigan, went out and saying that, with that whole press release of saying why you shouldn't do this, the evidence won't stick. It was just, everything was BS. It was completely ridiculous.
Have you ever thought about going to the academy and becoming a police officer?
No, never thought about that.
Why?
I like my programming work. I'm already set in my career, and no, I mean, honestly, it'd be tough being a police officer because you see people at your worst, and you would have to figure out who's lying all the time. I think it would get to anyone. I really do. So
this is a hobby.
Yeah, it's what I do on the side.
It's a hobby, and yet you're having some success with it. And I think 7 convictions using your evidence, and it sounds like you've only turned in 7 cases, for lack of a better word, to the Grand Rapids prosecutor, and all 7 were tried or pled guilty?
There were a couple of them that they didn't charge, but I have no idea why. I think maybe they thought that, the evidence wasn't going to work, and they looked at some other cases and they thought it wasn't going to work. But I mean, I have no idea why they didn't charge some of the ones that I did report. But it was only, I think, maybe like 2. So, but yeah, they should have done it. They should have gone all out.
Did you have any involvement in the criminal trials or in the pleas of guilty?
So most of them pleaded not guilty and took it to trial up until the day of the trial where they pled guilty at the last second.
Which is not unusual.
Okay.
Not
Yeah,
most
I
people.
wondered that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
most people
They hold out.
hoping for a better deal, less
Okay.
jail time or prison time. They have nothing to lose until the day of trial, and then once it comes to trial, if they go through a trial and lose, instead of getting the year that the prosecutor is promising, they could get 4 years or 5 years or 6 years. So there's an opportunity, there's a negotiation,
Yeah.
and sometimes they call it, settling on the doorsteps of trial.
Oh,
and
yeah.
so it sounds like that's what happened. But what was
Yep.
your involvement in all that?
So I was called to testify for a lot of the people alleged to have done this, and I'm thinking, yeah, of course they did. All of them ultimately pleaded guilty, so I was ready to go to court to testify against them. There was one who took it to trial, and so I was called to testify against him, and he lost. The jury deliberated and found him guilty. And so the offense in Michigan, they only charged him, by the way, with accosting in Michigan, accosting a child for a minor for immoral purposes, when they could have charged these guys with so much more, like using a computer to commit a crime, right? 10-year
Right.
felony, some other stuff.
They charged them with
they got him good
accosting,
deals.
enticing, or soliciting child for immoral purposes, 750.145
Yeah.
and that's a felony. It's a 4-year felony.
Yep.
And yeah, I was curious why they didn't charge him with other things.
Me too.
But this is a pretty easy and broad statute that I'll put up for our viewers right now, so they can see it. But it's a person who accosts, entices, or solicits a child less than 16 years of age. And this I thought was interesting in the statute. Regardless of whether the person knows the individual is a child or knows the actual age of the child, or an individual whom he or she believes is a child less than 16 of age, with the intent to induce or force that child or individual to commit an immoral act, to submit an act of sexual intercourse or gross indecency, and on and on and on.
Yep.
It's a pretty broad
Yeah.
statute.
And it merits sting operations too, by saying only if the predator believes that the child were to exist. The child doesn't have to exist. Of course, I'm in my 20s. I mean, the child doesn't exist,
Right.
but it's all in the mind of
Right.
the
What's
the
in their
predator.
mindset.
Totally.
So that's why a 27-year-old dude could say, I'm a 13-year-old girl, and they could get convicted of this statute.
Right. And so when people say entrapment, it's really not. Let alone, I'm not even a police officer.
I was going to do well.
That's right.
You just said my legal line.
Yeah.
You have to be a police officer to be accused of entrapment.
That's correct.
So you
Yep.
cannot be charged or accused with entrapment ever.
Right. Yep.
So that's what they charged against. Listen, prosecutors want convictions. They want these people to go away, and they charge them with, sometimes some people will overcharge with lots of things, and then they negotiate down. But this is a pretty easy statute
Yeah.
to get the victims or to get the predators that you're finding.
Yeah.
So 7 out of 7, give or take, there was a couple that they didn't follow up on, and you don't know.
Right.
What can 15, 16-year-old girls do, and what can their parents do, and how should, I have teenage daughters, and they're online.
Oh, yeah.
And they're playing their games. And so how can we best protect our children?
I think have an open dialogue with your kids about what is and what isn't right when talking to people online, and what they say that can be very alarming, and to have that discussion with your kids that, hey, let me know like who contacts you online, how old they are, what they're saying. Because a lot of times too, sometimes predators, when they contact me, sometimes it's immediately like, oh, you are so sexy, I want nude pictures of you, whatever. Other times it can take weeks or months for them to actually evolve the conversation into just a friendly one to a sexually charged conversation. Grooming takes for some people a week and others like a month. It's very interesting. So parents should also, maybe depending on the age of the kid, consider some sort of monitoring software to see what they're doing. And I think it's very important to trust your kid, but verify. Make sure they're not doing anything bad. It's very weird when I grew up, because there was just one computer. There was no smartphone. I got a smartphone last year. Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
For 2 years ago in
crazy.
2018. But it was very different, because now I see little kids with phones on the internet, and it's very different from when I grew up, because there's just like with one computer, and behind it was like 20 feet, the dining room, the kitchen. Mom and dad could walk by. They can, see what you're doing. So you didn't do anything. And of course, now I wasn't talking to men online or like women or whatever, but it's very different now in that the internet can be in your kid's bedroom when the lights are off and they're on their phone. and with that, and most of the traffic that I see, and like I saw this happen when I developed websites, it constantly went from desktop to mobile phone, and part of me freaked out because I'm like, this is crazy because you can conceal anything. So it's just very important for parents to know what their kids are doing online and set boundaries for the kids.
I agree, and I do all of those things, but it's still scary.
Yeah.
What did you have, a flip phone before 2018?
Yeah, I did.
You had a flip phone.
Yeah,
one of my lawyers still has a flip
phone.
phone.
Oh, really?
And
no
I can't.
way.
I'll introduce you to it when you leave.
Interesting. Cool. How old is the phone?
I don't know. They're making flip phones again.
Are they?
Yeah,
really?
I've seen them. Yeah.
Dang. So that's awesome. That's funny.
Let's talk about who goes first. So some of your critics, we talked about entrapment.
Okay.
And I think the lawyer who sued you said you go online pretending that you're an above 18-year-old girl, a sexy girl. You're teasing these guys. You're flirting, and then they come on to you, like that's some kind of excuse. Okay.
Yeah.
Tell us how it works when you're on a chat room like that. How do you find the predators?
Okay, so that's total BS. I never posed as an adult first. I thought the predators mentioned sex. I just pretend to be an average 13-year-old girl, 13-year-old boy, 14-year-old boy, 14-year-old girl, whatever. And I let the predator do the conversation, however it will evolve.
So what? Give me an example of something you'd shoot out there as a first shot of the bow.
Okay, so like someone will contact me, like say like, hey, like where are you from? Like, oh, I'm from Grand Rapids. And how old are you? I'm 14. How old are you? And then they'll say their age. They lie about their age all the time. Oh yeah. But after that, they'll say, what are you doing? And then I'll just say, oh, I'm just listening to Billie Eilish or whatever, what 14-year-olds like. And they'll say, oh, I'm stroking my cock right now. And sometimes they won't. Sometimes they won't say that. Sometimes they'll say, oh, really? What does she sing? Is she a good singer? And they'll be friendly for however long until they advance to talking sexually. And it depends on the predator. Sometimes it's instant. Other times it takes a long time, but it's all part of grooming. I pretend to be an innocent, however old person I'm portraying.
Does your profile say that?
It depends on like what app or what site is.
Okay.
Like it depends, like Whisper, Kik, Omegle. It all depends. Sometimes they find me. Other times it's like strangers matching up, and they ask like how are you doing, and then I say how I'm doing, and it just takes off from there. It really depends on like where it is. Like some things don't really have profiles, and a lot of the original ones, because I didn't have a smartphone a few years ago. A lot of people didn't know this, but it was just via email. It was from Omegle to email. And so
now that you have your smartphone, you can multitask.
Oh, yeah.
So how many investigations, I'm going to use the word investigations because I don't know what another word to use, do you have going at any given time? Right now, how many sickos are you talking to online? Okay,
actively right now I'm only talking to 3, but I have on Kik, a messenger service, I have like a lot of like requests for people to talk, but I'm just busy with other guys.
So they're requesting to you?
Yeah.
But what does your profile say?
It doesn't say anything. It's just a picture, but a lot of times...
What's the picture of?
It's of my decoy. But
is it a little girl?
It's...
Do we not want to give away the trade secrets? Because I want these guys caught.
Yeah, me too.
So I don't want to give away trade secrets.
You're right. Me either. Right.
But you have a picture up there that people are liking, and they are reaching out for conversation.
That's correct.
Let's leave it at that.
And a very young looking girl.
Okay.
Yeah. And instantly, I always say the age, instantly. And what the attorney against me a few years ago said was, pose as an adult first. Total BS.
So that didn't happen.
Total BS.
So
that's terrible.
Let's close the chapter on those civil cases. I'm sorry that I'm jumping over, but I got so many questions that just are flooding my brain, Zach.
That's fine. Yeah,
you're a fascinating guy. The civil case, you're sued in circuit court, which means they're asking for over $25,000 for each of the 2 cases.
Yep.
You told me you're not a rich guy. You don't have a big bank account. You're making money off selling T-shirts, and you have your day job.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
And so this guy thought you were making millions on YouTube?
Yeah.
And they thought they were going to milk you?
Yeah. In the complaint, it said they had no idea how YouTube works. They said, oh, because you have this amount of subscribers, YouTube pays for the amount of subscribers you get, therefore you're making rich. And I'm like, what? It's like, you don't even know. First of all, in order to make money on YouTube from YouTube, you need to have ads on your videos. Any person with a brain would see that there are no ads on the Predator videos.
Right.
And so it was insane. And I was offended at that this is being brought to court on complete lies.
Right. And on the show, we've addressed, anybody could sue anything about anything at any time. This. Typically, a plaintiff's lawyer, I'm a plaintiff's lawyer, will not file a lawsuit unless there's a potential recovery.
Yeah.
And usually there's insurance.
Yep.
Or if the person, does have a lot of money, you can verify that and they did something really bad. Yeah, you could sue and try to, get a judgment against that money.
Yeah.
It sounds like this guy missed the target, sued
Yep.
you. You told him you didn't have any money, and it eventually both cases got dismissed without any payout.
That's correct. They saw the Predator videos with millions of views, and they thought that translated into a lot of money. When there was nothing, I wasn't making anything off of the
you
Predator
set up a
videos.
GoFundMe page to pay
I
for a
didn't have
lawyer.
any money. Yeah, that's right.
I wish.
And it's a lot of money too. Attorneys are expensive.
Yes,
but
we are.
So it must have been a contingency basis for these guys that were suing me, because there's no other way.
But he made no money.
No money in the end.
And I can't
no
believe
money.
these guys had the balls to sue you because, first of all, truth is a defense to all that stuff. Truth
it
is a defense.
Yep.
So the fact that these guys were predators, they were doing what they were doing. They both those guys pled guilty to something, right? Those were not the guys who.
Yeah.
One of those two guys didn't go to trial. Both those guys pled guilty.
Yeah, one went to prison, and then one was sentenced to just probation.
Right.
Yeah.
So they had no case. That was a bad civil case that they brought against you. I'm sorry.
Work. It didn't work.
No, but you were
Yeah.
you were scared.
Oh yeah, man. Oh,
And that took up how many years did that last?
Let's see. A little less than a year.
But okay.
It was when people are suing you in circuit court for per case over 25 grand or more. All it takes is one corrupt judge or whatever, who knows, to screw you over.
But it sounds like, you know what, Grand Rapids has great people and great judges, and obviously that didn't happen. And
it was weird.
Well, it was weird.
Oh, check this out. So I was representing myself at first, right? And so I would go to this legal assistance center, and there were just people like law students helping people for whatever case they're on, right? And one of the legal assistance persons, this future lawyer, told me, he's like, hey, I should probably disclose this, but the attorney who is suing you is on our board of trustees. So I'm like, oh, I thought, no way. So I got out of there.
So you bailed.
Oh yeah, corrupt.
And you finally found a lawyer?
Yeah, I wonder if the lawsuits were sponsored. Here's the thing, a little conspiracy theory that I have.
Let's hear it.
That I can't help but to think. So Grand Rapids Police and the prosecutor really wanted me to stop, and I wonder, because of the attorney's connections with the courthouse, I wonder if some people got together and said, how do we shut this guy down to where he doesn't confront predators anymore? Because he's making us look bad. And so I partially wonder if they thought, okay, the police is saying that we're against this isn't stopping them. Us not charging these people, that's not stopping them. Let's sue them. I wonder if that could be because who knows what happens behind closed doors?
Well,
I wonder.
I hear you. I've been doing this almost 30 years. I've never heard of that type of theory that the prosecutors and the police will conspire with a civil attorney to put somebody out of business. So I've never heard of that. I don't buy that conspirity theory, but listen, you go with it, man.
I can't trust. Hey, I'm not believing this. I'm just like, at the time I thought, I wonder what's going on behind closed doors. Who knows?
Well, that would have been shocking, getting help from lawyers saying, hey, the guy suing you is on our board, probably giving some money to the board, or at least donating time or whatever he's doing. So I see how that'd be disconcerting.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, let's take a break for 2 minutes and we'll be right back.
Okay.
Right hand red.
At first, winning was just fun for him.
I win. Ready? Go.
But as time went on,
I'm gonna beat you.
it became something more.
I win.
Morse.
Much more. Now, it's everything.
I win.
Because now,
We won.
he's doing it for you. Want to win? Call my son Mike.
So as I was watching your videos, I saw that you've taken some breaks.
A little bit, yeah.
So
some
what's
intermittent
going on with the intermittent breaks? Your fans are not happy about it.
Traditional work.
Okay.
Just traditional work. Sometimes it's talking to predators, but very few and far between.
Okay.
But just while doing working, sometimes it really gets to you by having so much attention, especially when you get sued and when everyone on TV is against you and there's some BS media reports. Sometimes it's just, there's nothing like being behind a computer and just doing your own thing and no one's watching you.
You just made me think of something that's not in my notes to ask you, but I'm going to ask you. You were confronted by a news media outlet in Grand Rapids, and you gave an interview in your car. You're sitting in your car, you have your dark sunglasses on, and then you commented on your channel that you weren't thrilled with how you handled being bamboozled by this reporter.
Yeah.
And I thought that was interesting, and I liked your honesty, and I liked that you commented on it. What do you wish you would have said to that reporter? If you could do it again.
I wish I would have said nothing. Just because they're aggressive. Ambush journalism is a real thing. Right in front of my car as I was driving off. So it's like, crap, of course I have to stop.
But you're ambushing these guys.
Oh, yeah.
And so I saw a parallel there.
I'm a good guy. I'm not trying to have sex with kids, you know?
You're a good guy. I'm not disagreeing with that. But
Yeah.
I think as a fan of your page, and I'm wondering if the viewers, your fans out there, like, one thing that I'm surprised about as I'm watching your videos are that these guys, most of them aren't running. Most of, like the walking dude who
Very
you just,
interesting. Yep.
they're just walking for miles, walking to Indiana.
Yep.
The old, Santa Claus is just the Santa Claus guy, and they're just talking to you. And and I asked Chris Hansen this, when I had him on the podcast recently, like, why aren't these guys bolting? Why aren't they ripping your glasses off your face? Why aren't they attacking? Why aren't they driving away? What's your take on that?
Okay, so real quick about the media thing. I think that it's so weird that they go up to me, and I've always thought, why is so much attention on me? Why are the media going to my house? I'm just a witness. I'm just reporting what's happening. Why aren't they going to the predators' houses and getting their side and what they have to say for themselves? Why me? I always thought that was ridiculous. But it's very interesting you mentioned that about why they feel the need to, hey, if I was in their shoes, I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to bolt. I'm going to run. I'm not going to say anything that can be used against me. And it's so weird because I've confronted in person 19 of these guys. All but 2 said at least something to me. And the one guy was about a week ago. The video isn't out yet. Another guy was like last summer. But it's very interesting, and I believe, and I'm interested to hear Chris Hansen though, but this is what I believe. I believe it's due to their manipulative nature and wanting to be in control of the situation, in control of everything, whether like grooming who they think to be an underage girl or boy, or trying to convince me that they're not there for the reasons that I believe they're there for. I think they want to try to control the situation, much like they want to control who they think is a minor. And I think that's why they open their mouths and not bail out of there.
Well, the confrontation thing, I mean, you were confronted in your car. You knew you should have spoke. You're smart. You're a smart guy, and you spoke anyway.
Well, I was interested to hear what was going on because the news is going, and they said, "Oh, have you heard about the press release?" And I'm curious. At this point, I'm like, "What press release?"
You're talking about Dan and Nessels?
I didn't know if I was being sued. I didn't know if there were predators on my way to my apartment, or I had no idea what was going on. So I wanted the information. They said, "Did you hear about this?" I'm like, "Of course I don't read the Attorney General's press release, but the media does." And they found that and went off to my apartment with it. And it's like, no, I haven't, but I was curious to know what it was. And that's why I wanted to talk, because I'm like, what is this? And the Attorney General, they told me that the Attorney General said all this, and they're like, what do you think about that? And it's like, I haven't even read it. You're just paraphrasing what it says, and I can't go off of that.
Right.
So I couldn't say anything or much.
Well, right. So I find it really interesting that they talk and talk and talk. Like this one dude, I don't remember any of these names, and I'm sorry for that. But the one guy with the weird glasses, where you got into his car. And then I think he emailed you an update apologizing after. What was his name?
His name was Dan. I'll probably butcher his last name, but I have it all recorded.
Right. No, and
it's a Dutch name.
For all 19 of these guys, were they all created, put into a video and put online? All 19?
Yes. Sometimes YouTube has deleted some.
Okay.
And some were removed. except there was an upcoming one that I haven't uploaded yet. But yes, all 19. Now there have been, for every predator that I confront, there are so many more that don't show up, and sometimes I make a video about them, and sometimes I don't. But there are lots more. You know, it's the people who actually want to meet up, and actually a lot of people want to meet up, but the people that actually find themselves driving in real life doing that to where I can confront them, very few. Most predators just want nude pictures, and they may entertain the idea of meeting up, and then they think it's too dangerous, so they think it's less dangerous to get nudes from who they think to be a girl, which is crazier because federal law is way against that. That's even arguably worse of a crime in the eyes of the law, isn't it?
Well, yeah. Child pornography is one of the most serious offenses, up to I think it's 30 years.
Yeah.
And I'm sure if any one of these guys probably have all that, maybe allegedly have all that on their computers, because the one video you call Most Bizarre Predator Ever Seen, and he's sending genital shots right away. I think he's the guy standing on his porch with his washcloth over it, like, oh my God. But his whole face, this is somebody's father, this is somebody's grandfather, probably.
Boss. He was a big supervisor. He would construct schools and stuff like that. He was a big supervisor, and it was weird because in one of the nude pictures he sent me, he was just standing in an underdevelopment business, like inside of a place that was being worked on. God. And I'm like, what's going on here? I never figured it out until I posted the video, and people were commenting like, dude, that guy was my boss. Oh, and I'm like, God. I'm like, holy crap, this makes sense now. So he would go to the job site early to snap a picture. One of them, he was nude. Everything was nude except for he had shoes and socks on. He was just standing there, and there's like freshly poured concrete and like something that looked like shelves being constructed behind him. And like, this is probably like a future school. It's kind of ironic.
Now you mentioned that the guy with the old guy on the porch, he was convicted. Or pled guilty to something. You turned over all the evidence to the Grand Rapids police.
Yeah, and they found child porn on him, but he's out now. You know, they go to prison. They get paroled out,
but you're ruining their lives. They're losing their jobs. Their families are probably alerted to this.
Yeah, they ruin their lives.
I mean, they're ruining their own lives.
Yeah,
but you're helping.
Yeah, I'm reporting it. Yeah,
you're reporting it.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about. Do you ever bring a weapon with you to the meetups?
So before, I would just carry a knife sometimes, pepper spray sometimes, and then I would have Kevlar. But now I carry a gun. I have a concealed carry permit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're getting into these people's cars.
I did not have my concealed carry permit then, and my mom told me that I shouldn't be doing that.
Shouldn't be getting in cars. Well, you need your mom to tell you you shouldn't get in these pedophiles' cars. You obey your mom. What does your mom think about all this?
She's very okay. So the only thing she doesn't like is me getting into people's cars, and I have to make mom happy. I don't like it either, Zach.
I
know, and it's crazy because I didn't have a weapon at the time, and but with
or without a weapon, you shouldn't be getting in cars.
Right.
I mean, at that point, I once had a police officer tell me that her best weapon is this. Because you can call the police, you can dial 911. I'm just saying, these guys. I mean, are you afraid? I mean, has any of these guys ever pulled a weapon on you?
If someone were to pull a weapon on me, I could call the police, and they would find my dead body like a half hour later.
Do you think
there's nothing that beats just having a 9 at your hip just in case, worst case scenario to use in the event of self defense? And I feel comforted with that. Instead of just calling the police. Police are kind of lame where I live, but Detroit's probably worse, like downtown Detroit. I heard the response times are terrible.
We got some great police officers here. So, but you're getting into these cars for what reason? Like, I saw you get into at least a couple cars. How many have you gotten into?
Well, he had Jolly Ranchers in that car.
He was chewing the Jolly Ranchers. That guy was chewing the Jolly Ranchers like they were out of style. It was like they were eating potato chips or something.
Partially because it was super windy that day, and it was a pain to edit because I had to channel it with just putting the left audio, making it mono because the right camera and microphone and mic.
Okay, so for sound quality,
part of it was audio, but most of it was just because I wanted him to feel comfortable so he could open up a little bit more. And
he was a talker.
Oh, he was, but he saw this as a chance to try to manipulate me and thinking that, and like offering the Jolly Ranchers, he wanted me to be comfortable too, and for him to manipulate me into thinking that, like he was just visiting his like grandma at the cemetery.
Well, wait a minute. You just remind me of something.
Yeah.
Almost every person says that they were there to counsel the girl not to go through with what they were there to do.
A lot of people say that, yeah.
I don't believe a word of any of that.
No, not at all.
I mean, that's not
it's
even
insane
credible.
if it was
It's
true.
a little insane.
Yeah, absolutely.
They did the meetup in a strange parking lot or park or whatever to then counsel the girl not to go forward.
And it especially doesn't make any sense when they were the ones who talked about sex first. Not only that, but when they send pictures of in like penis pictures.
just-
I'm not sure what all I can say on
Yeah,
here,
in
but
my opinion, they're liars.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, they're just liars. But
Yeah.
this thing that really scares me, and I watch these videos, and I don't know about the audience's take on this, but this was not most likely the first time they had a meetup.
I really wonder about that.
You think you caught them on the first time?
Oh, they all say it's the first time.
What do you? But come on.
I know.
mean, let's be logical. Whenever somebody does something like that, do you really think you happen to be coincidentally their first time and you busted them and they're done and no kid has ever been harmed? Or do you think this is their 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th time?
Yep.
I mean, I think about that. Like, I'm grateful and I'm hopeful that you scared the crap out of them that they will no longer do this. I'm grateful for the 7 that have been prosecuted. About the other 12, I mean, are they out there trying to find kids still? I mean,
Everyone's out there. They're all out. They're all out of jail, prison, whatever. They're all out, and I think they're even all off probation. But
they're still sex offenders, probably.
yeah, they are. I think that's
I don't know
not
if
going to
that
stop
works.
them. No, I don't think so either. Maybe it could make them worse because now everyone knows they're a pervert.
I wonder if you keep doing this, if you're going to come across people again.
I wonder if Chris
same-
Hansen has.
He has.
There were many cases where after I confront them, I learn, especially through posting the video, like that one case we talked about earlier, and that a predator 4 months before I met him actually had sex with a real underage girl.
Yeah, that's crazy.
There were some cases where, including that guy, where people see the video and young women or even if they're still underage, and they send me a message and they say, hey, I met that guy, and like that catches my attention. I'm like, are you sure? What's his name? Sometimes they can tell me exactly what his name is. I've even had pictures of girls send me pictures that they sent of themselves with the predator. But of course, they're appropriate pictures. But one girl sent with that guy I just mentioned who had sex with a real 14-year-old girl. Another minor at the time sent a picture to me of herself with the predator. They were just smiling. This is
That
selfie.
proves my point.
Exactly.
This is not the
It's
first
true.
time this happened.
Not at
You're
all.
stopping bad people.
Yeah,
You're doing a public service.
It's so weird, and it freaks me out. If you were to know everything about all these guys, it would be so freaky. Imagine that. Imagine getting all of everything that is just stuffed away in a closet.
Well,
all the skeletons. Who knows?
Zach, are you doing full background checks before you go meet them?
If I have some information available, like the most recent guy, I looked him up on the sex offender registry. He wasn't there. And I do some sort of stuff like that, but it's not as comprehensive as, say, if I could subpoena people and get some more information on like...
Well, there's lots of
where they're
public
from.
records to see if they have weapons, to see if they have prior convictions, to see if they have lots of lawsuits, to see... I mean, you can find that stuff online.
Right. The first guy who sued me, he had a gun. In the video, I remember... He talked about when I was pretending to be an underage girl, he talked about how he had a gun. And I remember when I was confronting him at Taco Bell, he affirmed that he had a gun. So yeah, that's one of those things I should pay more attention to. But I mean, someone could break the law too and carry one anyway. Or
Sure.
I really don't know sometimes how they'll react, but so far they've been, for the most part, pretty peaceful. And I'm thankful for that. But I knew that I wanted to almost quit while I was ahead, not being armed, when I was confronting these guys. And so that's why I decided to get a concealed weapons permit, because it's easy to say that, oh, yeah, this is not dangerous when you've never been hurt. Things would change much differently if I was ever shot. And so I wanted to not take that for granted,
So...
But who knows? It's dangerous.
The Attorney General and the Grand Rapids Police and the Grand Rapids Prosecutor's Office want you to stop.
Yes.
Why aren't you stopping?
They're not doing their job. I told the detective, I said, this is how to do it. I said, I told a Grand Rapids detective, like, do you guys do this? It's Grand Rapids, it's a city, the metro area is 1 million people. I said, do you guys actively look for predators and do your own sting operations so that a real kid isn't subjected to this. And they say, oh, well, Michigan State Police does that. They don't do it. And so I told them how to do it, but they don't do it. You know, and so if the police aren't doing their job, then who is going to do it? It's ridiculous.
Have you gotten legal advice as to whether or not what you're doing is criminal?
I know it's not criminal. It's not criminal.
I've racked my brain. I'm
curious. What's your
well,
take?
no, I'm not a criminal defense attorney. I've racked my brain. There's lots of claims about that you're trespassing or you're taking videos you shouldn't be taking, and there's privacy concerns. That those were some of the arguments in the civil complaint against you that you're not talking about. But when people are out in public at these parks, even in their car without tinted windows with the windows down, it's my understanding of the law. You're absolutely allowed to film.
Yep.
You don't need their permission.
Yep.
It's out in the public.
Yep.
And I don't see anything wrong with it. And the truth is a defense. So for these guys to say that you're slandering them and it's libel and it's defamatory is the overreaching word. It's not if they are really doing these things. So that's why you're not getting hit with civil suits on all these people. It's like if I punch you in the face and you sue me for assault, there's not a whole bunch of defenses there, right? No. And I'm not going to I'm not going to sue you because I punched you, right? If you said something rude to me. Yeah. But it's I can't think of any laws you're breaking. I think if you pulled a gun on somebody, that's assault.
Oh yeah.
The one case, I think the first video I watched of you, which I thought was completely nuts and entertaining and fascinating. I think you have 2 million views on YouTube. Is the dude you met at Target?
Yeah.
What's his name?
Adam Gates.
Now was he? What happened with his case?
His case is the police don't do anything, but he's in trouble for doing something to a real minor.
Really?
So, yeah. After the video came out.
So they did investigate him and found some things.
Oh yeah.
Because
he's in jail right now. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep.
So when Mr. Gates, his face is put on your YouTube channel, the families, other kids, coworkers, might then provide information to the police, and then a real investigation. No disrespect to your investigation, but a police investigation can happen, and it sounds like that's been happening.
Oh yeah, and it just
so
goes
you're
to
like
show.
the catalyst of the investigation. You're saying, hey, you're shining a light. Look at this guy. He's a bad guy.
It just goes to show that people like this have histories, and that sometimes no one knows except for those who have been victimized. And so when you have a video that comes out and really turning the tables, this guy, Adam Gates, was a top manager at Walmart. He was recently transferred to the one on Alpine Avenue in Grand Rapids from his previous location of Whitehall. He was very successful at what he did. A lot of people looked up to him. He was a quintessential, what a lot of people would look at as a successful man. But he had this dirty secret that only maybe a couple people knew before. And then when this video came out, everyone knew that this guy was living a completely fake life, and that it really blew up in his face. And it just goes to show that you can't trust anyone. Who knows, what's going on.
The way you did that, and I haven't seen it in a couple months, but was so brilliant that you left, in my opinion, as a lawyer, as I'm reading the chats and how you presented it, and I know you don't present everything that you have, but you present it in a pretty nice, succinct way. Yeah. And it's chatty, and then let's meet at aisle 7 at 2 o'clock at the Target on this road, and you show up in the aisle, and there's the same exact dude. Yeah. I mean, talk about a slam dunk case.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's really... I mean, I don't see how you get out of that. I mean, it's airtight, caught red-handed, and then for them then he bolts out of Target. He drops his keys. Yeah. You pick up his keys. He grabs your hand.
I was trying to be nice. I picked up his keys from him, but
now that's an assault. He assaulted you.
That's correct. And he said, "I will break your hand." I'm curious about your take. What do you think about that?
He assaulted and battered. I mean, if you have injury, he battered you, but he assaulted you and he battered you because he did actually physically touch you. So you don't really actually need a physical injury. But there was an assault and battery. He assaulted and battered you.
He threatened to give me a lot of bodily harm with "I will break your hand." I don't want a broken hand.
No.
What do you think of that
scare
threat?
you? Did you go to a psychiatrist or psychologist? Because
No, I didn't.
You don't have a lot of damages.
No,
to sue him.
It was weak.
It was a weak
Yeah.
case. So I would never. No
Physically,
real
it was weak.
lawyer would have taken that case to sue him for those injuries.
Oh, yeah.
Because he didn't really have any. But he did assault and batter you. He took off running in that parking lot. You chased him down. That was one of the funniest things, the most entertaining things I've ever seen. And he was scared. And he was, I think, avoiding his car. He didn't want to get in the car so you could see the license plate or something.
Yep. And it stinks because like when I was editing this, I'm like, oh, I should have been quicker. But wouldn't that have been great if I were to hit the panic button on the key and then
the car would have
wouldn't that be
got off.
great?
Yeah.
And you know, actually, if you listen to the audio when I grab the keys and when he grabs me like a second later, you can hear. I think it maybe because I unlocked it, you can hear a slight beep coming from the
So his
direction.
car.
Yeah, it reacted. And
But you had his name, or you turned over the
I knew
videos.
everything.
So did you go
Yeah.
right from the scene to the police and give it to him?
Yes, that's correct. And even
Literally from the scene.
I record everything, even at the scene. What I do, I take so much evidence. I record all the chats, sometimes as it's happening, and all the times, all the dates. I screen record everything, and sometimes I even have like a traditional camcorder recording the screen. So if anyone's like, oh, this is Photoshop or whatever, I go out of my own way. My evidence that I collect is so redundant. And even though I know Attorney General 𝗓𝗏𝗏 won't do anything, I know that these guys can still get in trouble federally. And so that's why I still report everything to the FBI, because I'm sure they like that information. And I think it's the right thing to do. I'm not just going to keep it and then just post it on YouTube. I have to report it. These are felonies committed under my observance. I have to.
So what's next for you?
I'm going to continue doing this. I'm talking to a lot of predators right now.
And so you dropped one in the last day or two.
Yep.
And you have another one filmed and coming.
Yep, that's right.
And the one was, I think you call him Santa Claus.
He looked a lot like Santa Claus.
So did he, have the police talked to him as far as you know?
I have no idea. I highly doubt it because they want to stay far away from me.
So did you turn it over to them?
No, because I know that Attorney General 𝗓𝗏𝗏 said that we won't do charges and the prosecutor won't do charges. So it'd be a lost cause.
So you're telling,
that's unfortunate.
well, you want my 2 cents?
Yeah,
I
would love to.
You didn't ask me. I won't charge you for this.
Tell me.
You definitely should turn it over. I
To
think
the
that,
police? The Grand Rapids
What do
police?
you got to lose? If they don't want to do anything with it, they don't have to do anything with it. But it'll protect yourself. And what if this guy is bad news? And what if they have a subsequent investigation or a previous investigation? It could help them. You still want to come across as the good guy, which you believe you are the good guy. And I think that it doesn't cost you anything. I think you should hand it over. If you don't think you're in the wrong and you're not committing any crimes, they can't charge you anything with anything. They don't have to follow up, but
they won't.
A credible police officer who sees good evidence might follow up.
But the prosecutor won't, though.
You know what?
It's unfortunate. They want to. The Grand Rapids police, I know.
So then, why do you
keep?
Why are you going to keep doing what you're doing if there's not going to be police or prosecutor involvement?
Someone watching the video, someone who's been victimized by these people, watched that video, and it's already been proven. It's already been shown to me that they'll see the video, they'll feel empowered to speak up. Everyone knows that they're now, for lack of better terms, a creep, and they'll report it to where that a real investigation will happen by police through the traditional means of prosecution and through the prosecutor, and it makes it all worth it. And still, for good measure, I still report stuff to the FBI just in case if they're investigating a lot of child porn stuff, that it all intermingles across the country, and maybe they're looking for that guy, and I still do it to the FBI. But Michigan and my local community in Kent County, Michigan, the community as the officials, they want to stay far from me. But it's very interesting because most police officers are totally for this. But you have the PR cops, like the people way up there, even like Attorney General 𝗓𝗏𝗏𝗏 officially have to say that, oh, we're against this. A lot of cops, I was pulled over by a Kent County sheriff. He loved what I was doing. One of my friends is a Kent County sheriff. He loves what I'm doing. It's crazy.
So
their bosses hate it. The top of the top guys, they don't want to see this.
But maybe your friends could get you a sit down and say, look, I don't want to be on camera. I won't do the videos. I want to do a good public service. Please investigate these guys.
Yep.
I don't think you're done. I don't mean done with your investigations, but I think that you got to figure out a way to work with law enforcement because that's the only end game that I see for you. Just putting up these videos, hoping that they're publicly shamed. is
that's not
one
the
way.
way.
But you know, listen, the police officers I know, the sheriffs I know, Dana Nessel I've met, who I think is a wonderful attorney general. I think she's doing lots of good things. I think that you scare them, and I think her office is putting away a lot of. She put out in that statement that she's put away 250 in the last couple of years. So I think that they are doing it, and maybe there's a way to work on the relationship, and we can talk about that offline a little bit.
Yep. So with Dana Nessel, it is unfortunate because I see the news all the time about her working against some Catholic priests who have abused kids. I see a lot of good work by her, but the anti-predator thing for what I'm doing just ruined it for me. Well, and it's unfortunate because she's good. But I think if they don't know anything, I mean, I think they just assume, oh, it's Joe Schmo doing this. He's going to half-A everything. I think that doesn't sit well with them, but they need to know. They need to research that. The evidence sticks, you know, from what I've collected. But I understand why they're hesitant. But it's interesting how you talk about, like, my cop friend. He's a little younger than me, and he's not up there in seniority-wise. So we have talked about when he gets up there, he's kind of the alpha male type. So we have talked about, like, having his own sting operations and me helping him along the way and doing it that way because of his connections and being a Kent County Sheriff's Department member. But that's way in the future because he's not on the top of the totem pole yet.
Right.
But things can change, over time.
I think that you know, they have to say that. They don't want a bunch of yous running around.
Oh, yeah.
But you've perfected something that I think you can help.
Yeah.
And I think that you should not give up on the police or the sheriff's department. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah. They're all good people. They intend for people not to be victimized, but they just have to do a better job at looking at everything before making a conclusion. You know, that, oh, this evidence won't stick, and even when it has, they need to really look at that.
So at the beginning of the interview, you mentioned some other types of videos you're doing that aren't predator related, like jumping into dumpsters and running around with birds on your shoulder. And the last couple that I saw in the last few months before the one you dropped, you know, you seem a little out there. You seem a little loopy. So what the heck's going on with those? They're very
fun.
different than what you do at your house.
Very different. I just want to remind people that something as serious as, you know, predators trying to have sex with the kids shouldn't consume your whole life, and it's okay to be just out there a little bit and being okay with who you are and just having a little bit of fun, and it shouldn't be all consuming, and you should do your own thing. And it's just a little unconventional is why some people think it's weird, but it's fun to me. Like tomorrow I'm going to go to the mall, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to film a video called Sketching Out Strangers at the mall. And what it's going to be literally sketching out strangers. Like, I'm going to have a clipboard with paper, and I'm going to see like someone from a distance. I'm going to sketch them out, but it's going to be crappily drawn, right? And I'm going to be like, hey, I drew a picture of you, and give it to them and see their reaction. It's just all about that. Isn't that ridiculous?
Weird stuff.
It's ridiculous. Kids love it, though.
Well, yeah, but like,
it's funny. I like it.
Are you going to keep jumping in dumpsters?
Oh,
those
absolutely.
are dirty, dude. You
No.
found tampons and you found food.
No
did.
tampons. No tampons. Oh, actually, you're right. I
You
forgot
said
about
it.
that.
I was like, what the hell are you
You're right.
doing in there? Get
Forgot
out.
about
And you're
it.
with your mom.
Oh, yeah. She likes getting dirty. No. But
So gross, dude.
for the most part, business dumpsters are pretty clean because it's not. I would never go into like an apartment dumpster, residential. I have no idea what those tampons were doing in that thrift store's dumpster. You know, that's a little bit weird. Hopefully, no one donated those to the thrift store. But for the most part, it's very clean, and I do watch out for needles. Sometimes I wear gloves, protection. But it's fun. I always shower after. You know, it can be gross. But hey, you know, it's fun to me. You can find some cool stuff. Like yesterday, I found a cool knife. It was
Did you
nice.
keep it?
Oh yeah. And I found this Maglite flashlight that said Ford Motor Company. I thought that's perfect. And then the next day, I'm going to the east side, Detroit. Oh yeah, perfect.
Are people starting to recognize you on the street?
Yeah.
How often does that happen?
If I'm at the mall, it'll happen a few times at the mall.
Is it weird? It's pretty weird.
It's it's all right.
Are people
at
nice?
first it was weird. At first it was really weird. People are really nice. But some other places it doesn't happen. Like the gym I go to, lots of young people, but everyone's to themselves and never been recognized there. Sometimes people will stare. It's very weird because sometimes people will stare and then sometimes they smile or give me a thumbs up. Sometimes it's very casual. People just walking by me saying, "Hey, I like your channel." but sometimes people look at me and they look at me like they recognize me from somewhere, but they don't know who it is. And it's a little bit weird to me because I don't know if they're a fan or I don't know if they're the brother of a predator I confronted that they want to kill me. So it's difficult, you know.
How's your martial arts? I mean, are you able to fight off somebody if they came at you?
I had an interview with WGRD in Grand Rapids, and Mike, and the guy named Mike, he told me if someone's pointing a gun at you, you do this, and he taught me a little bit of martial arts, and I thought
So that's all you know.
That's all I know. Other than that, I can draw a gun pretty quick. But
well, Zach, you're an entertaining, interesting guy, and if you haven't seen Zach's show on YouTube called Anxiety Wars, you should definitely check it out. It's very entertaining. Thank you for coming on. Please be safe out there, and don't get yourself into any trouble, and don't get yourself beat up or shot.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
You promise?
Yep. I hope this year won't start off with a bang. So.
All right. No, we'll talk soon.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
My pleasure.
Cool.
Thanks for watching Open Mic with Mike Morse and Zach Sweers today from Anxiety Wars. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Please subscribe below so you can be up to date on all the things that we're doing on our show, and you'll be glad to hear that we have some Onision updates coming up and some series with Chris Hansen coming up. So if you want to be the first to know, subscribe now. Thanks for watching.